My name is Pedro, and
my name is Alejandro, and we're Night Shift Games.
So what are you guys showing here at PAX West?
so today we're showing Elsie. Elsie is a roguelike hardcore action platformer.
So talk about the gameplay of this game. You mentioned it's very Mega Man X meets Binding of Isaac.
Yes. I'll take that one.
Right, so the game focuses on running and gunning, but also a huge and complex item system. There's over 150 different items, all that can change the way you play the game. And since it's roguelike, you can always die and try a new build to see what works, what doesn't, what fits your type of play style. Everything should be fairly useful, but you might encounter some stuff you don't like particularly, and you can always try something new. And it's always fresh and exciting. There's procedural generation. We handcraft every level, but we just hand stitch. We stitch everything on runtime and make sure like the experience is fresh.
So talk about that, because you mentioned procedurally generated, but you also say it's handcrafted. That sounds like a play on words.
Okay.
Right. So like we handcraft the rooms, so that way you're not getting like 100 enemies in a single room, and then you find another room with with nothing on there. So we handcraft the rooms, but we just procedurally generate how the level is built. We stitch them together.
Yeah,
so it's like a curated generation.
You don't get to talk. It's all him.
No. So what he means like by the handcrafted rooms that we make all the room shapes. We put all the enemies where we want them, and it's just the order of the rooms that will show up is what's procedurally generated.
Because sometimes usually pre-generated games have a template they just pull from and they create their own rooms and their own combinations of stuff. But it sounds like you guys take it kind of a step further and have a little bit more control over the pre-generation. Yeah.
Right. Yes, exactly.
What are some of the challenges when doing that?
A lot of the balancing issues, right? So since you have a lot of weapons, a lot of different weapons with different elemental abilities, or just different augments that you get from leveling up, or just things that you find, it's hard to balance enemy positions and how all those things kind of interact with Elsie, and how Elsie can tackle certain issues in many different ways, right? So we have to make a lot of different rooms, and they all have to kind of function for her and what she can do at any stage in the game.
You guys mentioned you have augmentations and power-ups, and you can have as many as you can carry until you die, right? So does that mean if you're really good, you can have all 150?
It depends how many you find along the way. So you're not, so because it's roguelike, you may find in one run less than others. We predict that at the end of the run, you won't get all 150, but you will be carrying whatever comes up for you. And since he said most of them are not detriments, most of them are power-ups, so you will just pick them up, and then it will change the way you play or the way you position, depending on the powers or depending on the weapons that you got to pick. There's also shops in the game, and every time you level up, you do get different augments. So all of that, kind of factors in. You will become really powerful and really crazy to look at, at the end of the game.
And also, talking about the augment system. So every time you level up, you don't get a simple item. Every class has a special pool of unique augments that change your run in a more drastic way than just regular items you find in a shop or in the world. These could be tripling the amount of bullets you fire, or just creating more chaos using your bullets. The demo specifically showcases the marksman, which is a bullet or range focused class, whereas other classes might focus on different playstyles, and they'll have a completely unique set of augments that the marksman will never be able to obtain.
Now, as tools and technology evolve and make games easier to make for developers such as yourself, you guys are doing a pixel art game. Is that harder to do than 3D or easier?
It depends on who you ask, right? Pixel art, some people think that it's a much more simpler art form, but it really has its own intricacies, because when you're making something pixel art, there's a lot less room to play with. So every pixel counts. Wherever you place a specific pixel, if the player will see something out of place, easily that image is broken, right? So you have to be very precise with what you are trying to convey with a much smaller screen space. No, and also even engine side, right? A lot of these engines are made to break out, make all these 3D games. So sometimes you have to really make sure that it functions for your game. Make sure that it renders all the art properly, right?
Also, too, when you make a 3D game and you have a character, you can kind of rig it and move them. But when you have a pixel-based game, you have to draw a whole new animation.
Every single time, right? Especially if you're doing handcrafted animation like we are, we do with sprites and flipbooks. Some people will put bones on a sprite and then they'll just kind of animate it that way. But not us. We do everything, frame by frame.
Inspirations for the game and influences.
Big influences for me would be like Slay the Spire, Binding of Isaac, Mega Man. But Slay the Spire has been like really huge for me particularly. Like just the item system. I really wanted. Like it feels a little bit like you're building a deck when you're creating your build.
It's like RNG, but fun RNG.
Right. We want like you to like as you're playing the game to feel like, oh man, what kind of deck archetype do I want to create? Which is like how the augment system sort of like feels like. But since every time you level up, you get different type of augments, you can't always get the deck you want. You have to just like build it on the fly. So it has like sort of that feel like when you're like playing, like Hearthstone and you're creating a deck for Arena. You just have like random cards. You just have to like work with what you get. And that's like how this game feels.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, Mega Man X. Mega Man X is huge. The Mega Man Zero series as well. And anything that Inti makes is definitely like my biggest influences for making this kind of game.
What was it like? Did you guys make it in Unity, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
What was it like working in Unity?
So this is actually my first time that I do work in Unity. Mostly I've been working with Unreal Engine. So it's been a learning experience, but I'm getting there. He's the expert.
Right. So like working with Unity has been great. Working with someone that doesn't use Unity, so I have to like teach them, create tools for them. But Unity works great. Like it's very simple to like make tools and just like buy like maybe like some like tooling assets we might need, and it's just like it's a very versatile engine, and it's made like developing fairly simple.
As a coder, what do you like about Unity?
I like that you can write in C#. That's pretty much it. It's just like it's a beautiful language. It's very verbose. I can write anything super quick. Like if I ever need to make a change, like I just know the language inside out. That's why I got into Unity in the first place.
It's also remained fairly unchanged since it was introduced, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
so that helps. Legacy-based code kind of helps sometimes too. So when does your game come out, and what platforms are you aiming for at launch?
So we hope to be into early access before the end of the year, right? And it's gonna come out with at least 2 levels. For now, we're definitely targeting PC, and then whenever we get our hands on a dev kit, ideally a Switch dev kit at first, but we're open to any. So if anybody out there is watching with dev kit, hit us up. We're definitely looking to put on everything.
You do you do want a Nintendo Switch release?
For sure. All right.
Let's get it on PC first.
Right. Like right now, it's just like the easiest one to kind of bring out there, but then you never know.
Where can people find more information about your game?
So you can go to nightshiftgames.io and or follow our Twitter at nightshiftteam.